So that's pretty much C, and we'll go to one last key, the saddest of all keys, which I believe is E minor. And I've used this tuning a bit. It's an open E minor tuning. So you gotta bring this bad boy, the C, back up to an E. The A string goes up to a B. The D string goes up to an E. Your G string remains the same. Bring your B back to a B. And the E string goes back to an E. Just double check that. So this is E, P, E, G, B, E. It's an open E minor tuning. And a song I wrote in that, so it's called Requiem. So you say life is bittersweet. You've tried so gracefully, but the faceless company has let you down again. Say it comes to this, and all the things you missed. Well, a requiem won't change your fate, 'cause it passes over, passes over, passes over so soon, my friend. It's Thank you. And I guess the last one I'll show you, which is kind of one of my favorites, because go right back to the beginning, and I started off playing blues as a little kid. And so, Kenny, can I have a slide, please? So this tuning that I like to use, it's an open E major tuning. So the only thing that changes in this minor situation is that the G string, which is natural right now, it's a natural G, just goes up to a G sharp. And by the way, when you're using Maton guitars, if you want to go through all these tunings like I'm doing, you have to use elixir strings. Because if you don't use elixir strings, you're going to be snapping strings constantly. So, and that's my little plug for elixir strings, by the way, right? Because until Kenny and I switched to elixir strings, my guitar tech hated me. Absolutely hated me. Because if you were to look at a set list, as you can see, like for instance, even the Tea Party, and if there's 16 songs in the set, there is 16 different tunings, and not one is the same. So the man is working, hardest working guitar tech in business, right? I don't pay him enough, and I never will. So. Ain't that right, boy? Got a slide? Yeah. Go. Ladies and gentlemen, Kenny Watts. All right, so this one here. So like I said, E, B, E, G sharp, B, E. Hear the black snake sing the blues. In the giant dying wind now. Hear the black snake sing the blues. All the saints will fall into sin. Oh, and there's nothing you can do. If the devil gives no pardon, am I waiting all in vain? If the devil gives no pardon, am I waiting all in vain? If the black snake takes my soul, well, will the story stay the same? Try to save my soul. Take me down the river, child. Try to save my soul. You can try. If the black snake comes, you know, feel that river running cold. Save me, please, St. Peter. Keep me from the fire, walk me into heaven, let me hear the choir. Save me please, St. Peter now, keep me from the fire, walk me into heaven, and let me hear the choir. And I'm falling in his shame. Crying my tears to Jesus now. I'm falling in his shame. I have. If the black snake comes along, will the story stay the same? If he comes along, will the story stay the same? If he comes along, will the story stay the same? Thank you very much, people. Have a good afternoon. Questions, by the way? Any questions? Yes, you.
Mate, I know it must be a blessing, but perfect pitch must sometimes also be a curse.
Perfect pitch can be a curse, yes. I can't listen to Sheryl Crow.
Do you find it hard on stage though, like if other instruments aren't quite perfectly in tune to actually...
You know, I mean, you got to take it or leave it sometimes, but, you know, I've been blessed that the musicians I've played with, you know, have all been, you know, top notch. So, you know, just, yeah, I've never really had that problem, you know. Yeah, it's different though. Like when you've had a few drinks and you go out to a blues club and you're jamming and like some guy's like 7 years old like playing like an eco, right? And it's just like not right, and you're just like, well, you're 70 and this is cool. So next, anyone? Question? No.
What would you recommend after the guitar as an instrument? Something a little different.
Something a little different after the guitar. Well, a stringed instrument, you mean?
Yeah, something you've used.
Yeah. I would recommend an oud, which is a Middle Eastern lute, right? Because basically, once you get your head around guitar, an oud would be the best thing to do if you wanted to really go into like the string worlds, like playing exotic instruments, because it's fretless, so it will essentially improve your ear pitch, because you have to intonate without frets, right?
That sounds scary.
Yes, it does. It is scary, but you gotta embrace your fears sometimes. So. Anyone else?
Jeff,
Yes.
where did you get your Gibson harp guitar from?
Where did I get it from? When the Tea Party was signed to EMI Records back in 1993, the president of EMI Records bought that for me from Mandolin Brothers in Staten Island. So that was pretty nice. Mm. Anyone else?
What comes first, the tuning or the song?
The tuning for me, actually. I'll just play with my guitar until something hits me. Chords start to happen. Chords that have never been played before. And then all of a sudden melodies come, and it's. I have something that's called synesthesia, and synesthesia is basically where you see music in colors. And so for me, it's like everything is like a palette. Like an artist's palette, and my tunings and my different guitars and all that stuff are like different paints and different brushes and all that, and for me, like when the song is finished, it's a perfect picture of a kaleidoscope of color that's balanced. So. Anyone else? Yes.
How many guitars do you have?
45. Yep.
What's your favourite?
Well, I think my favorite would be I've got two. So it's like my 1916 Gibson harp guitar, which kind of stays in the house now. I don't really take it out that often, but it's kind of like if you could look at your soul, that guitar is kind of like my soul. And but then my favorite guitar to play would be my 1959 Les Paul. So that's pretty special. And then all the Maton guitars that I have. So, actually, Maton made me a really special guitar. I think it's one of a kind. They made me. They wanted to do a signature series. Okay, Maton, Jeff Martin Maton guitar, and it was going to originally be a 12-string with some Celtic design on it and all that, right? And me being difficult like I am, I said to Anthony and the head luthier, I said, I would really, I could really use a double neck acoustic guitar, like 12/6 double neck, right? And got to be careful what you wish for sometimes, because they made me one, right? And it's a beautiful, beautiful instrument. So, but I don't think they'll be bringing that out anytime soon, right? So, anything else?
Where would you suggest starting listening to Middle Eastern music?
Where would I suggest? Well, there's an obvious. There's Ravi Shankar, right? Which would be an obvious thing, but. I would listen to a guy, he's an oud player, because I mentioned that the oud, right? And I listened to him. His name is Hamza Eldin, okay? So Hamzaeldin, and he's considered like, the Ravi Shankar of the oud. And there's a record that he did called The Waterwheel, which is really worth getting, okay? All right, so call it a day, and I'll see you guys tonight if you're coming to the show. All right, thanks very much.